Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In today's video we're going to be learning how to cut and sew this beautiful dress right here. It's a gathers dress with this V-shaped design in front. If this sounds like something you're interested in, then keep watching. So the first thing we need is our pattern paper. You can drop this directly on your fabric, but for illustration I'm going to be using a pattern paper. So your pattern paper is on fold. If it's a fabric, place it on fold, and then you draw out a straight line from the top of the pattern paper so that you have a straight line to work with. And then from that point we're going to be marking out our bust line. So just take your measuring tape, measure from your shoulder down to the widest part of your bust, and then mine is 10 inches. If I go up by 2 inches, that will be my chest line, which is 8 inches. And then my waistline is 15 inches. I'm using my back waistline measurement for this. Normally my front waistline is 16.5, but for the sake of today's tutorial we are using our back waistline measurements. And the reason is because we don't want bulginess at the back of the dress, at that zipper area. And then after that, you're going to mark out your hip line measurements. So mine is 23 inches. So I'll do the same thing on the other side of the pattern paper, and I'm going to draw out a straight line like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark out my neck width measurements. So my neck width measurement is 3 inches. Because I'm adding sewing allowance to this, I'm going to be using 2.5 inches right here. If you're on the plus size, use 3 inches. Then from here I'll mark my neck depth. I'll also use 2.5 inches as my neck depth. And then with my front curve, I'm going to connect it, drawing a curve like this. Then from here I'm going to divide my shoulder by 2, and I'll mark it on the top line and on the chest line. And then from here I'll go down by 1 inch like this. And with my straight rule, I'm going to connect it all the way to that 1 inch point, drawing a straight line. And then right here, I'm going to connect it from that 1 inch point all the way to the neck width, drawing the shoulder of this dress. So the next thing is to draw the armhole. And to do this, I'm going to divide here by 2, and I'm going to go in by ½ an inch from the midpoint like this. And then with my front curve, I'm going to connect it from the shoulder through that ½ an inch point all the way to the chest line like this. So the next thing I'm going to do is on the chest line, I'm going to divide my bust measurement by 4, and I'm going to be marking it on the chest line. So one thing to make sure of when you are drawing the armhole is that it connects from the shoulder through that ½ an inch point all the way to your bust measurements at this point. So as you can see, mine is perfectly arranged. And then now on the waistline, I'm going to divide my waist by 4, and I'll mark it there, and I'll add 1 inch for sewing allowance. I'll also add 1 inch for sewing allowance right here. I'm adding sewing allowance so that we will not need to add any allowance when we are cutting on the fabric. And then on the hip line, I'm going to divide my hip by 4, and I'll add 1 inch for sewing allowance as well. So now I'm just going to connect it like this. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is, this is completely optional, but you can take out your underbust measurements from the top line like this. So from my shoulder down to my underbust is 13 inches, and I'll mark it right there. And then from this point, I'm going to divide my round bust measurement by 4, and I'll mark it right here. So my round bust measurement by 4 is 7 plus 1 inch, that's 8. So as you can see, it's almost on the line that I drew earlier. But if you want it to be really fitted around your underbust area, this is what you are supposed to do, to just curve that area like this. So after that, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to go down by 6 inches from this point, that is from the waistline, go down by 6 inches. And then from this 6 inches point, go in by 3 inches like this. So I'm going to make sure it's a straight line, and I will just still mark 6 inches from that 3 inches point, and I'll draw a straight line like this. So after drawing the straight line, from the hip line, I'm going to go down by 1.5 inch. Sorry, I didn't show that part. My camera was not videoing at this point, but I'm going to show you exactly what I did. So on the hip line, just go down by 1.5 inch like this. That is from the waistline point. And then with your front curve, you're going to connect from that 1.5 inch point all the way to the 3 inch point like this, drawing a curve like this. So that's how I got to this point. If you want to draft the back of the dress, just go down by 1 inch from the top line and connect it like this. So this will be the neckline for the back, and then for the armhole for the back, just connect it from that midpoint all the way to the bust line like this. So this will be the armhole for the back. So after you're done with this, just go ahead and cut it out, and adding half an inch to the shoulder point. So when you're cutting for the back, make sure you add 1 inch for zipper allowance at the center back. While for the front, this is what it looks like when you cut out the neckline of the back and the front. And for the center front, you're going to be cutting it on fold, so that by the time you open it up, this is what the front will look like. So remember, add zipper allowance at the center back for the back. Like I said, if you are cutting for the back, make sure you add 1 inch for sewing allowance at this point, and the neckline will be that of the back and that of the armhole as well. So for the down part of the dress, I'm going to measure from the hip line all the way to the other side like this, and what I got is 20 inches. So I'm going to times the 20 by 3 or 4 depending on how full you want your gathers to be. Another thing to take note of is the length of the dress. So I want this dress to be about 46 inches. So I'm going to minus this distance from here to here is about 21. So I will minus it from the 46, and what I have is 25 inches. So that means the length of the down part of the fabric would be 25 inches. So let's assume this is the down part of the fabric that we have cut out. So you times 20 times 3, and that will be the width of the fabric. You can use 4. If it is 4, that means it's 80. That will be the width of the fabric, while the length of it will be 25 inches, and that's what it's supposed to be, right? You can use 1.5 yards or 2 yards for this part. And then now you're going to sew from the left side to the right side using a gather stitch, and you're going to use half an inch sewing allowance. So when you are done gathering, you're just going to join it to the down part of the dress. And that's all for today's tutorial. Thank you so much for watching.